inexpensive. This ranges pretty much over $100 up to over $400. So a nice listing here. This is for people who enjoy a good elevated bourgeoisie rose fragrance. And as always, y'all know I'm turning 40, so my memory does not serve me well. So I will be looking up notes during today's video to make sure that I'm accurate in describing each fragrance. So let's dive right into the first one. And these are not in any particular order of favorite. So let's dive right into my first rose parfum that I love. Favorite, more expensive rose fragrances is Rose of Dangerous Flamenco. Now, this is by Simone Andreoli, and this is not a safe blind buy. So this is a very deep, smoky rose oud fragrance that has some dried fruits in it, something like dates, and it's smoky, but it's so delectable. I want to say there's raspberry in this one as well, which is also why I love it, because it has that tart sweetness. But if I'm honest, on first spray, the oud kind of jumps out at you. So if you do not like oud, I would not recommend this fragrance. If you are someone that struggles with oud and just thinks that oud can come off too earthy or just be a little too polarizing, two complaints that I hear the most when it comes to oud, then this is not going to be for you. But if you are a girly or a guy that loves rose and loves the smell profile that oud brings to the table, then I absolutely recommend Rose of Dangerous Flamenco, because it just goes through such a complicated, romantic, seductive scent journey. So the key notes in this fragrance are dried fruits, raspberry, oud, saffron, and I believe, let me go up. Yes, damask rose, oud, saffron, dried fruits, dates, and raspberry. Now, the oud in this fragrance is very strong. If you are apprehensive to oud, baby, this is not the one for you. This is not the 1, 2 through 5. This is very loud. I'm talking about there is no need to spray more than 3. And it's very rare that I say that you need to only spray a fragrance 3 spritzes. But because this one is so strong, I definitely mean it. This is also very unisex. So I repeat, if you are hearing the notes and you're like, oh, I hear dried fruits, I hear raspberry, I hear dates, this is going to be very sweet. No, it's a sophisticated sweet fragrance. And the rose is definitely the star of the show, and that saffron is gorgeous. But because of those notes, it leans completely unisex, and you really have to give this a chance past the opening. The opening comes off as oud and rose, baby, and that oud is in your face. But as it goes through its transformative journey, it becomes so powdery, sexy, sweet, and seductive. It's just very date night appropriate. I would not wear this all year long. This is a fall winter fragrance only. And when I say fall, not early fall, late fall. This is when it's cold outside, where you can afford to be a little bit more strong in the scent profile. Baby, if you wear this in the summer, you will literally run people out of a room. It is that strong. I'm not going to lie to you, but a very beautiful fragrance nonetheless. I definitely recommend it if you are a rose lover and you're an oud lover. And when I say oud lover, I mean strong oud. I don't mean cute oud. I don't mean soft oud. I mean strong oud. And that's that for Rose of Dangerous Flamenco. This will run about, I want to say $185, but you can catch it on sale on Max Aroma and Essentia, where I have found most of my Simone Andreoli fragrances. And it's definitely worth the swipe, and it'll last you forever because, like I said, 2 to 3 squirts max. So now let's move into my second favorite rose, and this comes from the house of Louis Vuitton. This is a Trop Rivas. Now, this is flirty. This is vibrant. This is bubbly. This is fruity and so sexy and feminine. So this one to me is not unisex. To me, fragrances don't really have a gender, but if I were honest, I definitely feel like this one is for the rose lovers that are women. If you are a man, yes, could you play with a Trop Rivas? Nobody's going to say anything. It may add some spice to your life in your rose collection, but it's definitely more feminine leaning. Now, performance wise, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it's very mid for the price point, And I don't like that, but I love the smell, so I'm not apprehensive to reapplying. But if you are somebody that truly wants to hold on to your coin, I'm just going to say let this one macerate some, because it's not going to perform up to the maximum level of a $300 fragrance in the very beginning. So let's go over the notes. The notes are lychee, ginger, bergamot in the opening, peony, Turkish rose, and cacao at the heart. And then the base is patchouli. And we know that patchouli is supposed to give that long lasting effect for your fragrances. That's left to be debated depending on the quality of patchouli that's in the base. What I will say is this one is not heavy patchouli leaning. So even though it's the only note in the base, I barely smell patchouli when I spray this fragrance. What I mainly get is the peony and Turkish rose dancing together, which we know peony and rose together is always a beautiful coupling, all right? And then I do get some of that sweet tartness from the cacao playing with the lychee. And what I do like is that this one has a nice bright opening with that bergamot and ginger. A lot of the fragrances that I like that are roses, I do realize have a nice citrus opening, and it's refreshingly sweet, a little tart, and very much a girl's girl rose. That's all I really can say about it. I love it. I can't say that I will ever unlove it, because it smells really good, even though it doesn't perform up to its price tag. So be warned, if you go to Louis Vuitton and you smell this, it does not perform up to its price tag immediately. I am going to come back to this one in about a month or 3 and see how it performs at that point. But if you are someone that just loves the smell, it's a beautiful smell. I love her. She is one of my favorites. And would I repurchase it? Probably, even though it doesn't perform past a designer price tag. Well, it is a designer, but you know what I mean. One that you can just pick up at Sephora and or your department store beauty counter. No, it doesn't outperform those, but it's a beautiful fragrance. Now getting into my third favorite rose, and this one comes from Bulgari. I actually have another Bulgari on this list too, because I'm starting to realize that Bulgari may be a rose house, but that's left to be determined. So this one is Fior de Amor. This is a jammy rose. This has raspberry notes. I want to say amber. And there's another note in here. Let's look it up. One thing about the Bulgari collection, especially this Allegra line, they only give you 2 to 3 notes. We know that there's more. We've smelled Bacciami, and nobody's going to tell us it's just gardenia and vanilla. That's not true. But it's a beautiful fragrance nonetheless. Fior de Amor is a gorgeous fragrance, all right? Just like Ma Magnifica. Honestly, I think we as frag heads need to revisit the Allegra line, because while I love Bacciami, I'm starting to realize that there are other gems that may need to be discussed. So the notes that are listed for Fior de Amor are Turkish rose, Bulgarian rose, and raspberry. So 2 types of roses and raspberry. This is powdery, this is sweet, this is jammy, it's in your face. I would say that there is something woody in this fragrance too, because it definitely gives something a little bit earthy as it begins to dry down. And of course, it has a pretty punch of powder. So I absolutely love this rose fragrance as much as I love Ma Magnifica, and this layers well with so many of my other rose and florals in my collection. So I would definitely recommend, if you can go to a Bloomingdale's, because that's the only store I've gone to that has the Allegra line where you can actually sample it and spritz it. I suggest you go and get a little whiff at your local Bloomingdale's and let me know what you think about it. But I absolutely love Fior de Amor. And sticking right here with Bulgari, here is my new avant-garde rose fragrance from their La Gimme line. I believe that's what it is, how you say it. And this is Sahair, y'all. I need a moment of silence for Sahair. This is gorgeous. This is not for your typical rose lover either. This is something that I feel like is very grown, very adult, very dark, very delicious. And again, they don't list a lot of notes. Bulgari is trying to keep people from duping. I promise you that's what it is, because I know for a fact that there is more than 3 fragrance notes in here. So when I go look up Sahar, literally the only notes that are listed are lemon, bergamot, Typh rose, which first of all, Typh rose has a seductive, deep, dark essence to it. I love it. I didn't know I loved Typh rose until I smelled this and Joe Malone Typh rose fragrance. I love the Typh rose. More fragrances need to use it. Black pepper, ambergris, and myrrh. Okay, so this is incensey, this is dark, this is deep, this is seductive. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't pick up on the bergamot and lemon at all in this. I know that it's there, but it's so faint. Also, there's something else here that provides an extra level of sweetness, right? To kick off and balance the black pepper in the heart, but it's not listed. And when I tell you that the sillage and projection of this is insanity, I was literally walking and people were telling me, girl, you have filled up this entire area. I walked in 5 minutes after you and I was like, who is that smells so good? And I knew it was you. This leaves a trail, baby. So if you are looking for a rose fragrance that leaves a scent trail, Sahar is it. So here is it. Now, you should be able to smell this at Saks and Neiman's and Bloomingdale's. I believe it's available at all 3. I've smelled quite a few from the Gimme line, and this one by far is one of my favorites. And I feel like once I invest in a couple of more, I'll do a dedicated video to just this line, because I will say Bulgari really did something amazing with the Gimme line, because there's Tigar, there's another one that I can't think of the name right now that is just absolutely incredible and smell exceptionally niche quality. And this is a designer house. Now, I do believe the Gimme line is their Privé collection, private collection, their Altier collection. I do believe that that's what this represents. And if so, mission accomplished, because all of these smell elevated. All of these smell above their normal offering in their fragrance house. So now we're getting into another one that I recently discovered and I'm literally obsessed. And this is Tomovici Empyrean. Now, a lot of people compare this to Delina. I don't feel like this smells like Delina at all. I feel like this stands in its own lane. It is fresh, it is bright, it is citrusy, it's got oud in it, it has got a level of sweetness and lightness. This is divine femininity. This is very much a girl who lives on a jet that travels to sunny, soft places. She's not doing too many cold temperatures. She's not doing a hard life. This is a soft life girlies rose. I cannot tell you guys how amazing this smells, because beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And so let's get into Tomovici's Empyrean. Let me look up the notes really quickly if I could spell it. All right. So here are the notes in Empyrean. In the opening, we have strawberry, nutmeg, and bergamot. Like I told you guys, I really love a citrus opening with my rose fragrances. Then in the heart, there's damask rose, white musk, carnation, and peony. So once again, we have that pairing of rose and peony, and then the added carnation, which I believe adds that soft, powdery facet to this fragrance. And in the base, there's vanilla, bourbon vetiver, Bakur, and cedar. So I lied. There is no oud. I think why I thought there was oud is because of the Bakur. And the Bakur is like this sweet, incensey, delectable fragrance that they burn in the Middle East that just smells so good. It's intoxicating. It's like puts a trance on you is how I feel when you smell Bakur. And so I think that's why I thought it was oud, because it has a similar quality that oud does have. And baby, Tomovici is by far one of my favorite Middle Eastern houses in general, but most definitely this is one of my favorite rose fragrances because of the level of elevation and exquisiteness that it gives off. Like, you cannot say rose and not have Empyrean in your collection. I actually want to buy a backup bottle, but again, this is priced at probably between $225 to $250 if I'm not mistaken. It depends on where you get it from. So this is absolutely more expensive level niche, but do I feel like it's worth it? Yes. Does this perform excessively well? Also, yes. Is this a beast mode rose fragrance? Yes. Now, when I say beast mode, I'm talking about performance and the entire scent profile. Do I feel like this has a huge scent bubble or sillage? No. But will someone be able to smell you when they come up on you and ask, what is that? Yes. So Empyrean is chef's kiss. I recommend anybody getting it because I absolutely, positively adore it. And now we're getting into a classic that, I mean, y'all, I feel like this is literally Mama Rose, right? And this is A La Rose by Mason Francis Kirkjajan. Y'all see I got the big girl bottle. This to me is my favorite light, citrusy, traditional, pretty girl rose fragrance. And when I say traditional, I say that because it leans more along the side of a classical rose fragrance from back in the day with a little bit of modernization, but it still plays homage to being a classical rose fragrance. It's an easy wear. It is light. It is evanescent. It is pretty. It's not fussy. Is this a complicated fragrance? No, it's linear. The way it starts is the way it ends, but it is so gorgeous. And also, to me, this is what a Laudaria smells like with some added powdery notes. But really, I feel like it's paying, tribute to who started it all for me in that type of rose category, and that is A La Rose. So A La Rose doesn't have much complication to it. It's very simple in its formulation. It just smells really pretty. The quality of the ingredients are stunning. It is literally one of the roses that I feel like if you're a rose girly, you have to have it. It's like quintessential rose fragrance. And so again, this has Calabrian, bergamot, California orange in the top notes. This has Bulgarian rose, grassy rose, violet, and magnolia at the heart. And the base is musk and cedar. Very simple. Now, what I think, if I'm not mistaken, each bottle contains, I want to say 500 rose petals is what they say, like the oil of 500 rose petals in each bottle. So when I say that this is like rose, this is rose. There is no ifs, ands, buts about it. What I do love is that the violet is added, which adds an extra dose of like soft powdered essence. And then of course the magnolia adds a little bit of, a little bit of a different floral note to this. And then it dries down very musky, mixing with that powder. And the rose really does last from beginning to end. And again, A La Rose for me, last all day. To me, this is a little bit above a skin scent, but not too far reaching like you this huge scent bubble. This is for intimacy. This is really for you and someone that's closer to you to smell, but I love it. Price point wise, obviously you guys know that this particular bottle runs you at 400 and above, but to get the typical, I want to say 2.5 ounces is what the MFKs come in, is $245, and then the 1.2 is around $150. So to me, this is more accessible niche and worth your swipe. And now we're getting down to my last two that I'm going to present today that are probably not talked about enough, but I absolutely love these. And this next one is from Nishini, and this is Vain and Naive. You don't really hear people talk about this that much. This one is actually classified as a men's fragrance, but to me, this leans very much unisex, and I love this fragrance. So let's get into the notes really quickly. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's newer to my collection. I've been playing with it, but I really like it. And I think everybody should give it a try. Give it a little whiff. So this has orange and bergamot. Like, really can't stand myself because I feel like I've been repeating that like a broken record all video. Orange and bergamot in the opening. The heart notes have raspberry, plum, rose, jasmine, and cedar. And in the base, there's tonka beans, sandalwood, musk, amber, patchouli, and benzoin. This one is a warm, bright, vibrant, a little sexy rose, okay? The sweetness that the plum and the raspberry add to this fragrance that to me is why I think it is unisex, because of that sweetness. And then I love jasmine. I love rose. I love the woodiness of the cedar, and then the creaminess of the sandalwood at the base, the sweetness of the tonka bean, once again adding some more to this fragrance, musk and amber to keep it warm, and of course the benzoin and patchouli to add to that longevity. This is another one that you don't need a lot to get the message across. It's very loud to me. This is one of those rose fragrances that if you overspray, you're going to choke somebody out in a room. I don't recommend. I high-key do not recommend overspraying Vain and Naive. I understand why this one does not come in a 3.4. This is a 1.7. This is the only way that it is sold. And honestly, if you see, it barely has a dent in it because you don't need to spray this over the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're done. And the point will get across. People will smell you for hours, baby. They will smell you. That is how I feel about Vain and Naive. Actually, I'm going to put some on my hand because I just really like the way this one smells. Where is the... Okay. And see, I did too much right there. But yeah, this one is very loud. In the opening, you get that big bright citrus immediately. And it lasts for a while. Like that citrus, that top layer lasts for quite some time before it starts to go through its olfactive journey. But I will say that this is gorgeous, and it just definitely goes on a journey. The way it starts is not the way it finishes. It finishes at a very warm, sensual, sweet rose fragrance that has a lot of earthiness to it. So that is Vain and Naive. And last but certainly not least for today is Fragrance du Bois, Lovers. First of all, rose deserves to have a name like Lovers. Like, is not the most romantic floral known to man. It's one of the most romantic flowers known to man. So, of course, it needed a fragrance like Lovers to really bring the rose lovers into the room, all right? So let's look up the notes for Lovers. And excuse my dog, I don't know how loud he's been during this video, but he's snoring like he has a 9 to 5, and he does not. He's a spoiled, he's a pampered poodle, and he does not have a 9 to 5, nor does he do any hard labor other than walking up and down stairs to get to my perfume room. So let's get into the notes from Lovers by Fragrance du Bois. Okay. The notes: passion fruit, plum, ginger, and bergamot in the opening. Once again, that citrus and spice makes everything nice. In the heart, we have rose, jasmine, and saffron. Okay, and in base we have patchouli, cashmere wood, cedar wood, sandalwood, and vetiver. So this one again is very unisex. It's sexy. It's got some sweetness to it. My favorite note in this fragrance is the saffron. I think it's done so beautifully, and it really subdues the rose. So if you're a rose hater, I think that, or if you're a little impartial to rose, I think Fragrance du Bois' Lovers is a beautiful rose. However, it is. And again, if you don't like patchouli, I do think the patchouli is a little bit stronger in this fragrance. And again, it's very woody, very earthy. It's got that vetiver. It's got that spice of the ginger. The plum is very delicious and juicy and dark in this fragrance. And then the passion fruit adds a cute amount of sweetness, but not too much sweet. Okay, it's not too on the sweet. So I think that this is sexy. I think it's unique too. I think of all my rose fragrances, Lovers tends to be the most, ooh, God, I love this fragrance, the most unique. And one thing I also love about Fragrance du Bois is that no matter how much you spray, I've had this bottle for maybe like 7 months, and I used it quite a bit, and it still looks almost brand new. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. It's taking me over. This one smells so good. Once again, this is one that does not need a lot for the point to get across. This has a huge sillage bubble. This is going to clear a room if you overspray it. And the saffron is literally the star of the show, in my opinion, in this fragrance, along with the rose. And it just really wears beautifully. But you really do have to love saffron. You really do have to have a likable and warm relationship with patchouli. And you really do have to love woody notes, because the base is very woody. Like I said, it's got the cedar wood, it's got the cashmere wood, it's got the sandalwood. Okay, this is not a fragrance that is non-earthy. This has many, and I do many earthy facets to it. And then of course it has the vetiver. So the base is very much where the unisex quality to me plays up heavy. So if you don't like to have that woody dry down, then you might want to bypass Lovers. But if you're a girly that likes a woody rose with just a dollop of sweetness, then this is going to be perfect for you. And that is it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do have part 3 where I'm going to give you guys some affordable rose fragrances that I think perform like beast that should be added to your collection for everyday wear next week. And yeah, get outside, smell roses, and wear the roses, lovelies. Until next time, ta-ta.